Alex had never been the kind of person to believe in the supernatural. He preferred logic, routine, and the comforting certainty of everyday life. But one quiet night would change everything he thought he knew about reality. It began with a simple act, scrolling through old photos on his phone. Memories of his younger sister, Lily, flooded his mind. Lily had died 2 years ago in a car accident, and though life had continued, the emptiness she left never truly healed. Every laugh they shared, every secret whispered, seemed frozen in time, haunting him more with each passing day. That night, alone in his dimly lit apartment, he found himself lost in the past, staring at Lily's smiling face on his screen. The house was silent except for the faint ticking of the clock in the living room. It was the kind of quiet that made shadows feel alive. Alex shivered slightly, pulling his sweater tighter around him, when suddenly, the sharp trill of his phone broke the silence. He jumped. The screen flashed a name that made his blood run cold. Lily. Alex froze. His hands shook as he reached for the phone. He knew it was impossible. Her number had been disconnected years ago. The accident had ended her life, yet here it was, her name glowing on his screen. Against every instinct screaming at him to ignore it, he answered. A faint, trembling voice whispered from the other end. Alex, why did you leave me? The line crackled, distorted, but the voice was unmistakably hers. Alex's heart raced, his mind trying desperately to find a rational explanation. Maybe it was a glitch, a cruel prank, or someone imitating Lily's voice. But the familiarity, the emotion behind it, was undeniable. Lily? He whispered, his voice barely audible. The response sent a chill down his spine. I'm right here, in the dark. The room seemed to grow colder instantly, the air thick and heavy. The lights flickered, and Alex noticed shadows stretching unnaturally along the walls, moving as if pacing. Panic surged, yet a part of him was rooted in place, unable to hang up. The voice began recounting memories only Lily could know, the hidden nook in the park where they used to play, the secret jokes no one else understood, the nights they promised to always protect each other. At first it was comforting, a bittersweet reunion that tugged at his heart. But then, the tone shifted. It became accusing, almost vengeful. You forgot me, the voice hissed. You moved on without me. Alex's pulse pounded. He felt a hand brush his shoulder. He spun around, expecting to see someone, but the room was empty. The shadows had deepened, the flickering lights casting grotesque forms that seemed alive. The call ended suddenly, leaving a deafening silence. Alex sank to the floor, shaking, trying to convince himself it was just grief, sleep deprivation, or some hallucination born from loneliness. The next morning, Alex found the phone call logged in his recent calls. An incoming call from Lily's number, time-stamped at exactly 3:17 a.m., the same hour she had died. His stomach twisted in fear. Rational explanations fled. He remembered the accident clearly. He had been at home when the news arrived, helpless and shattered. Now it seemed as if fate itself, or something far darker, was mocking him, pulling him back into a world he didn't understand. Determined to find answers, Alex set up cameras around his apartment that night. He needed proof, anything to validate what had happened. The storm outside raged, wind rattling the windows, thunder shaking the walls. When he reviewed the footage the next morning, Alex could hardly breathe. A shadowy figure moved unnaturally through the frame, its form obscured, yet unmistakably humanoid. It paused, then turned toward the camera, and for a moment, Alex could swear it stared directly at him. Its lips moved, forming words he could barely make out. Then, horrifyingly, the figure held up a phone, identical to his own, displaying Lily's face. Alex tried everything to escape it. He blocked numbers, reset his phone, even moved the SIM card to a new device. But the calls continued, each one more detailed, more invasive. each one making him question his own sanity. The voice knew everything: his routines, his fears, his memories. Friends and family noticed his change. He was jumpy, sleepless, and distracted, but he couldn't tell them the truth. They would never understand, and maybe even he feared that admitting it would make the terror real in a way that could never be undone. Then came the night that pushed him to the edge. The storm had returned, heavier this time. Rain lashed against the windows, and lightning illuminated the apartment in harsh, blinding flashes. The phone rang, shrill and insistent. Alex, shaking, answered. Silence. He held the phone to his ear, heart pounding, waiting for the familiar voice. And then, a whisper so chilling it froze him mid-breath. "I'm still here, waiting for you." The voice was closer, stronger, almost inside his own head. The shadows around him began to shift, stretching unnaturally toward the phone. Alex tried to move, to run, but his body felt paralyzed. The voice spoke again, recounting a memory so intimate, so detailed, that it could only have come from Lily herself. He remembered the summer afternoon when they had hidden under the old oak tree, sharing secrets about the future. The voice repeated their promises, word for word, then ended with a question he couldn't ignore. "Will you come with me, Alex?" Fear and sorrow battled within him. Part of him wanted to escape, to reject this impossible horror. But another part, a deep, aching part, felt drawn to her, to the sister he had lost and could never hold again. And then, abruptly, the call ended. Silence engulfed him. Yet he felt her presence lingering, pressing against the edges of his mind. He tried to convince himself it was over, but every time his phone vibrated unexpectedly, a cold dread filled him, the same dread of hearing Lily's voice again. In the following weeks, Alex began noticing other strange occurrences. Objects moved slightly when he wasn't looking. Doors creaked open with no wind. Shadows flickered in corners where no light touched. He could feel, almost see, a presence hovering near him, always just beyond perception. The phone calls never returned. Yet the terror had embedded itself deeply. He started avoiding his own apartment at night, sleeping in strange places, always checking every room before resting. Alex never truly found out who, or what, was calling. Rationality failed, faith crumbled, and all that remained was the chilling certainty that the dead weren't always gone. Some nights, he swore he heard her whispers outside his bedroom door. On other nights, he imagined her sitting at the edge of his bed, eyes wide and expectant. The uncertainty, the creeping fear, became a part of him, an ever-present reminder that some things cannot be explained, and some voices are never truly silenced. Even now, years later, Alex flinches when his phone rings unexpectedly. He knows that no amount of logic can protect him from what lurks just beyond the ordinary. He has learned the hard way that some connections transcend life itself, reaching across the boundary of death to remind the living of their presence. And though he will never hear her again, he cannot escape the haunting thought that somewhere, somehow, Lily is still waiting and still calling. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to like this video, comment your thoughts or experiences with the paranormal, and subscribe to the channel for more terrifying true horror stories that will haunt you long after the screen goes dark.